I figured we'd get a little bit because there is a Memphis Jazz tie this summer, just simply because of the trade that was made. And Eric Hasseltine's been kind enough to join us here on the Bill Riley Show. Of course, the radio play-by-play voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. Eric, how are you?
I'm great. My compliments to the DJ. Great Joe Walsh song on your intro.
Just for you. We understood you were a big Eagles Joe Walsh fan, Eric, so we try to tailor our bump music for our guests.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So let's start first with the summer of the Grizz so far, because it's been a busy one. Wheeling, dealing, drafting, trading, bringing players in. It's been a busy time. Are they in the middle of a kind of a major remake, rebuild right now in Memphis?
Yeah, they are. There's no question about it. They've retooled the front office. Chris Wallace had a very nice run here. John Hollinger was part of that front office staff, but they've gone a different direction, and unfortunately, kind of guys caught in that crossfire were last year's coaching staff with J.V. Bickerstaff, who's now John Beeline's lead assistant in Cleveland, and his staff, Jerry Stackhouse, went on to Vanderbilt, which I think had those guys been here this year, they would have had 3 or 4 years at the helm. But Robert Pera, the owner of the team, felt like he wanted to win last year, tried to put a winning franchise together. They started out great at 12-5 before Thanksgiving, and then just kind of the wheels came off the bus. They blew a lot of double-digit leads in the era that was known as the core four with Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, Mark Gasol, and Mike Conley officially came to an end with the proposed, alleged, until finalized, whatever the NBA rule is, trade where Mike Conley joined the Utah Jazz. So it's time to retool. They're going to build it around young guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant, and by doing that, they're also, with some flexibility, have been able to acquire some first-round picks and some future first-round picks, and that's going to be the basis, this trade that they allegedly have made with Utah, netted them a first-round pick, and then some other things have potentially brought more picks into the mix, which will allow, later down the road, when your guys that you're counting on to develop into good players do that, if that's the case, then you also have some opportunities to pick up some other first-round talent that can kind of help you keep the roster stockpiled. So it's a retool. New head coach Taylor Jenkins was in his debut last night in Salt Lake City. It's a different style. I think you saw a lot of threes shot last night. Julian Washburn, who spent some time with the Grizz last night, hit a few. Yuta Watanabe, Javon Carter, all of them saw time with the big club last year, and the Grizzlies are counting on them this summer to take big strides forward.
Eric, how difficult was it for the fan base to deal with the Conley trade? Or maybe it was made a little easier because he's been dangled out there for the better part of 6 months now. Jazz fans had a hard time over the weekend when Favors was, in essence, traded to New Orleans, and he's been here 9 years. Conley's been there 12 years, and he's done a lot for that community. Did Grizz fans understand, or was it still difficult?
Yeah, it's a tough deal anytime it happens, but I think everybody was ready for it and knowing it was coming. The ones that sting more are the trades out of the blue where just something comes across a guy in the front office's desk that he can't pass up, and that wasn't the case here. Mike was dangled at the trade deadline. There was a couple of deals supposedly in place, but the front office at the time and the gentleman running it at the time is still in the front office, Zach Kleeman, just felt like they could get better value if they waited till the summer. And so that was a tough deal to watch Mike have to go through that too, because he has given his heart and soul to not only, like you said, the team, but the community. And he's a big part of the community. And we watched the young man grow up from a 19-year-old kid to a father of two who's a grown man and one of the more respected players in our league. So, I don't want to use the analogy that the guy here used. I think he said it was like a friend having a terminal illness and it's coming, but, it's never easy to say goodbye when it ends. But because I don't compare basketball to life and death. It's basketball, for goodness sakes. But it was tough because he was the last tie to a 7-year playoff run. You guys in Utah had that wonderful run with Stockton and Malone and all those playoff years, but in the end, at one point it had to break down and be rebuilt back up, and they did that then with Darren Williams, and then it had to be rebuilt and built back up again, and that's where the Grizzlies are right now. They're going to be more exciting. They're going to be more spread out, but the wins are not going to come at a playoff pace, and I think they understand that. The thing for the Grizzlies right now, in all honesty, is to try to be exciting They're competing for the dollar here in Memphis with the University of Memphis basketball team, which has the number one recruiting class in college basketball and a local legend in Penny Hardaway at the helm. So what the Grizzlies could not afford to do was be middle of the road or irrelevant in the NBA, where maybe you're scratching out 41 wins to try to get that 8th playoff seed and then just get blasted in the first round where there's no real hope moving forward. So they felt like it was time to retool, and they're in the process of doing that.